Hi, welcome you all for the video on module 5, which is on the force, torque and pressure measurement of strain and temperature as per the video syllabus. So first we'll move to the force measurement. Whenever we say a force, can be defined as a reaction between two bodies. Further, this reaction may be in the form of tensile force or it may be in the form of a compressive force. The measurement of force involves the determination of its magnitude as well as its direction because it is a vector. Therefore, the measurement of force involves determination of its magnitude as well as direction because as it is a vector and also a point of application. The measurement of force may be done by any of the two methods. One is by the direct method, which involves the direct comparison with a known gravitational force on a standard mass, example physical balance method, or indirect method in which involves the measurement of the effect of force on a body, example a measurement of acceleration of a body of known mass which is subjected to force, or the measurement of resultant effect when a force is applied to a elastic member. So in the first method, that is in a direct method, a body of mass m in Earth's gravitational field experiences a force F, which is given by F is equal to m into A, which is equal to W, where W we call it as the weight of the body, or A is the acceleration due to gravity, which is equal to G. We call it as any unknown force which may be compared with gravitational force ma on the standard mass m. The value of m and a should be known accurately in order to know the magnitude of gravitational force. And mass is a fundamental quantity and its standard kilogram is kept in France. Where further, other masses which can be compared with its standard with a precision of few parts in 109. On the other hand, A is a derived quantity but still makes a convenient standard and its value can be measured with an accuracy of 1 part of 106. Therefore, any unknown force can be compared with the gravitational force with an accuracy of about this order of magnitude. So in this case, first we will go with the first method, that is analytical balance method. The direct comparison of an unknown force with the gravitational force can be described with the help of an analytical balance method. Here, the direction of force is parallel to that of gravitational force and hence only its magnitude need to be determined. So in the figure you can observe the different points O, Wi, Wg and W1, W2, Wb and O and G, dB, dg. Whereas the distance from the G or the point center to the W1 and W2 remains constant. So O balances the arm rotation about its points. Balance arm rotate about this point which we call it as O. And W and W2 are the forces applied at the end. Both arm one is unknown and the known force due to, and the one will be the unknown known force due to standard weight. That is nothing but, let us assume it in simple way as W1 is a unknown force and W2 is a known force due to standard mass. Now about point G, it is a point of gravity of the balance arm and WB is the weight of balance arm, and the pointer acting is at G. So the above figure, which is 9.1, shows the balance is unbalanced position when the force W1 and W2 are unequal. The unbalance is indicated by the angle theta, which pointer makes with the vertical. In the balanced position, the W1 and W2 will be equal and hence theta will be equal to 0. Therefore, the weight of the balance arm and the pointer do not influence the measurements. The sensitivity S of the balance is defined by the angular deflection per unit balance per unit of unbalance, which is defined between the two weights W1 and W2 and is given by S is equal to theta divided by W1 minus W2, which is indicating that theta divided by delta W, where delta W is the difference between W1 and the W2. Further, sensitivity S can be calculated by writing the moment equation at equilibrium as follows, like W1 of L cos theta minus dB sin theta is equal to W2 L cos theta plus dB sin theta plus WB dG sin theta, where the distances dB, dG and L are shown in the figure. For smaller deflection angle, sin theta is approximately equal to theta and cos theta is approximately equal to 1. And in that case, the above equation becomes W1 of L minus dB into theta is equal to W2 of L plus dB theta plus WB into dG of theta. So in other way, the sensitivity S can be equal to theta divided by W1 by W1 minus W2 will be equal to L divided by W1 plus W2 of dB plus dG of B or WB. Now under the equilibrium condition, W1 is equal to W2, which is equal to W. In that case, S will be equal to theta by delta W, which is equal to 1 divided by 2 W dB plus WB into dG. So the sensitivity of a balance will be dependent on the weight of W provided. It is designed such that the dB is equal to 0 and then S is equal to L divided by WB into dG. Further, the sensitivity also depends on the construction parameter of the balance arm and is independent of the weights being computed or compared. The density can be improved by decreasing dG and dB and increasing L. A compressive, however, is to be struck between the sensitivity and stability of the balance. Further, next is about the unequal arm balance method. An equal arm analytical balance method suffers from a major disadvantage that it requires set of weights which are at least as heavy as maximum weight to be measured. So in order that heavier weights may be measured with the help of higher weights or balances with the unequal arms are used. Here two arms are being used. One arm we call it as a load arm and the other arm we call it as a power arm. The load arm is associated with the load, that is the weight force to be measured, while the power arm is associated with the power or the force produced by counterposing weights required to set the balance in equilibrium. So the figure shows the arm balance, unequal arm balance. Here force M acts as a power on the beam and exerts a force Fg, which is due to gravity. where Fg is given by Fg is equal to m into g. And this force acts as counterposing force against the load, which may be a test force Ft. Ft, this is a counter force. So the beam is pivoted on a knife edge Q, and the test force Ft is applied by a screw on a lever through a knife edge P, which until the pointer indicates the beam is horizontal. For balance of moments, F into A is equal to Fg into B, or we can rewrite it as Ft is equal to Fg into B divided by A, or it is nothing but Fg is equal to M into G, so it is M into G into V by A, or a constant into B, because only that B term is going to vary. So therefore the test force is proportional to the distance b of the mass from the pivot, because even the mass of the counterpoise is kept constant. Hence, if the mass m is constant and the test force is applied at a fixed distance m from the knife edge q, the right hand of the beam may be calibrated in terms of Ft. And further, if the scale is used in gravitational fields, a correction may be made for change in the value of g. So, setup can be used for measurement of tensile forces, compression, shearing, and bending forces. Also, this machine can be used for measurement of unknown forces. Suppose force Ft is produced by unknown force m1, therefore m1 is equal to m1 into g. So, for the balance, m1 into g into a is equal to m into g into b, or m1 is equal to m into b by a, or which is equal to a constant b. Therefore, the power arm B may be calibrated to treat the unknown mass M1 directly from M if M and A are fixed, and this forms the basis of countless weighing machine or mass measuring machine. This is the pictorial representation of or picture which indicates the unequal arm balances. Next one is about a platform balance or multiple lever system, which is being called. So in this, an equal and unequal arm balances are not suited for measurement of large weights. When the measurements of large weights are involved, multiple lever systems are being used. In this system, a large weight W is measured in terms of two smaller weights WP and WG. Weights WP is the weight of poise and WS is the weight of pan. In that case, the system is provided with an adjustable counterpoise, which is used to get an initial balance. Before the unknown load W is applied to the platform, the poise weight WP is set at 0 of the beam scale, and the counterpiece is adjusted to obtain initial 0 balance. In order to simplify the analysis, it is assumed that W can be replaced by two arbitrary weights W1 and W2. Further, it is also assumed that the pose weight Wp is 0, and when unknown weight W is applied, it is entirely balanced by the weight Ws in the pan. So in that case, T into B is equal to Ws into A, and Ws is given by W1 into F by D of E, and T into C is equal to W1 into F by D of E plus W2 into H. So if the links are so proportional that h by e is equal to f by d, in that case t by c, t multiplied by c is equal to h into w1 plus w2 of hw. So in the above equation 3, it is clear that the weight w may be replaced anywhere on the placed anywhere on the platform, and its position relative to the two knife edges of the platform is immaterial. So solving for t from equation 1 to 3, we get ws is equal to a by b, or which is equal to w into h divided by d. Our unknown weight is w is given by w is equal to a by b, which is equal to c by h of ws, where c by h of ws, a by b into c by h of ws, which is equal to m into ws, where m is called as a multiplication ratio of the scale, which is given by m is equal to a by b into c by h, which is the indicative of weight that should be put in the pan to balance the weight of the platform. Further, suppose the scale has a multiplication ratio of 1000, it means that weight of 1 kg per in the in the pan can balance a weight of 1000 kg put on the platform. The scale has a maximum of 1 has a multiplication ratio of 1000. Say it means that 1 kg put in pan can balance a weight of 1000 kg put on the platform. So if the beam scale is so divided that a moment of poise weight Wp by one scale division represents a force of x kg, then a poise weight of y scale division should produce the same result as weight Wp placed on the pan at the end of the beam. Hence, Wp into y is equal to xya, or x is equal to Wa divided by a. So the above expression represents the relationship that determines the required scale divisions on the beam for any poise weight Wp. Further, proving ring, it is another one of the widely used type of force measuring instrument. It is used especially for calibrating the tensile testing machines, and in general the means by which accurate measurement of large static loads which may be obtained. A proving ring is a circular ring of rectangular cross section which may be subjected to tensile or compressive forces across its diameter. The ring can be visualized in the schema line diagram which is shown here. The force deflection ratio for a thin ring is given by the equation F is equal to 16 divided by pi by 2 minus 4 by pi into EI by d cube of y, where F is the force, E is the Young's modulus, I is the moment of inertia of the section about the centroidal axis of the bending section. D is the outside diameter of the ring. Y is the deflection. Further, the equation is derived under the assumption that the thickness of the ring is small compared to the radius, and also it is clear that the displacement is directly proportional to the force, and the deflection is small, and hence the usefulness of the proving ring as a calibration device depends on the accuracy with which the small deflection is being measured. This is done by using a precision micrometer. In order to obtain a precise measurements, one edge of the micrometer is mounted on a vibrating reed, device which is plugged to obtain a vibratory motion. The micrometer contact is then moved forward until a noticeable damping of the vibration is observed in the vibrating reed. Rowing rings are normally used for force measurements within the range of 1.5 kilonewton to 1.5 meganewton. The advantages of the rowing rings are wide range of force measuring capacities, good accuracy of force measurement, and these measurements furnish relatively high output signals. So these are the four different and important types of load measuring or force measuring instruments. And for the force measurement, beyond the scope of this video, one is pendulum scale, which is a deflection type instrument in which unknown weight is converted to a torque and then balanced by a torque of fixed standard mass as arranged as a pendulum, and then it is being calculated. The deflection of the pointer in the pendulum scale is calibrated in terms of applied force. The another important type of load measuring instrument is elastic force meters. In that is another category in which the proving ring falls. In this category, the first one is about the spring scale system, which is generally used for checking the load, and it is the most simplest form of simplest instrument used for checking the weights on a mass, in which the unknown weight is suspended from a hook and the deflection of the spring with respect to weight is read on the scale in terms of weight. For this another important thing in the instrument in the elastic force meter is cantilever beams load cell. It is also one of the simplest type of load cell of force measurement, in which measures this load cell measures the force based on the principle of bending moment developed by the beam, which is directly proportional to the applied force to the end of the beam. So due to the application of force at the free end of the beam, the maximum deflection which occurs at free end and maximum strain occurs at the fixed end of the beam. And fourth one, let me say it as a fourth one in the elastic force meter type, the hydraulic force meter, or we can call it as a simple load cell. Here, the hydraulic force meter or a load cell which operates on the principle of force counterbalance. When a force is applied to definite area of enclosed fluid, the resulting fluid pressure increases, and the resulting fluid pressure is transmitted to some form of a pressure sensing device such as a Bourdon tube or a manometer, and the pressure gauge reading is calibrated in terms of applied force. Further, the major advantage of the hydraulic force meter is it has got a good response against load variation and self-contained and requires no outside power. It is available for both compression and tensile forces and also possesses good sensitivity and also well suited for high impact loads. One more with respect to the force measuring instrument, or we can call it as a load cell, is based on pneumatic type, where Bourdon tube pressure gauge pneumatic force meter also operates on the principle of force counterbalance. In this type of force meter, variable downforce is balanced by the upward force of the air pressure against the effective area of a diaphragm, and here the major advantages are being like it is used for suitable for use in hazardous or explosive area, Further, it is not required special transmitting system and is relatively free from temperature related errors. Nowadays, the popularity is gaining for the strain gauge based load cells, in which the steel cylinder is subjected to a force. It tends to change in dimension on this cylinder if a strain gauges are wounded. Strain gauges also is stretched and compressed, causing the change in its length and diameter. And this change in the dimension of the strain gauge causes its resistance to change. And the change in the resistance or output of voltage of the strain gauge is calibrated in terms of the applied force. And the next one is about the LVDT based load cells. Here it is again in this type of load cells, the load of force is converted in the form of displacement with the help of a mechanical transducer, and this voltage variation, or which is the output of the LVDT, is calibrated in terms of the applied force. Further, the LVDT-based load cells can be used for static as well as dynamic force measurements. So this completes about the force measuring instrument concepts. Uh, in the next slide, we will discuss. I will discuss on the torque measuring instruments. And if you have got any queries, please post it or mail it to my email ID. I will try to answer those queries. As a disclaimer, I hereby declare that I have used many resources from the textbook as well as internet resources in preparing this video or in this teaching material. I acknowledge all such sources and thank you. I will thank all such sources also. Also, thank you all for watching this video. Thank you. See you all.